Welcome, everyone. My name is John Mudd. I'm with the Midtown South Community Council. I'll be chairing today's meeting. Alex is here with me. Alex, you want to introduce yourself?
Thanks, John. I'm Alex from the West Side Neighborhood Alliance. We are the baby sibling of Housing Conservation Coordinators, and happy to be here. Pronouns are he, him.
Great. You want to pass it to someone?
I can't really see.
Oh, you can't? Okay, that's fine. I'll go through it. Sarah, you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, hi, my name is Sarah Shapiro. I'm with the Cross Union Retirees Organizing Committee, known as CROC. We are a group of retirees resisting the city's plan to move us into a private Medicare Advantage plan.
Great. Victoria, hi.
I'm Victoria. I am the housing coordinator for the Housing and Tenant Protection Unit for the District Attorney's Office, Manhattan District Attorney's Office. I will be stepping in today for Chief Chike Abiyabuchi.
Good. I'm glad your name's easier to pronounce. I was worried about butchering his name. So, anyway, thanks for being here. If you would too, by the way, just put your association in with your name. Okay, Tamara.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Tamara. I am from Manhattan Outreach Consortium.
Great. Donna.
Hi, everyone. My name is Donna. I'm the community liaison for Assemblymember Rosenthal.
Great. Great to have you. Eric. Hi.
Hi, everyone. How's it going? My name is Eric Straza. I'm your community coordinator at Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg's office.
Cool. Guadalupe. Okay, he must have stepped away for some coffee. Charisma.
Hello, my name is Charisma White. I work with the New York City Continuum of Care.
Great. China Rivera.
Good morning, China Rivera, Program Director over at Skyline.
Okay, great. Helen. Okay, she must be having some coffee. Tom.
Hey, y'all. Tom Kaler, West Side Neighborhood Alliance.
Great. Thanks, Tom. Melanie.
Hey, everyone. Melanie Foreman from Fountain House.
Thanks for being here. Let's see. Helen.
I'm just a participant. I just learned about this yesterday, and I wanted to listen in and hear what you all were discussing.
Great. Thanks for being here, Helen. Richard.
Hi. I'm here from Shower Power, who I know you're familiar with. I'm a very recently hired executive director. I'm glad to be.
Oh, super, super. Surana.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm okay. How are you?
Good, good. You're from Main Chance. Everyone.
Main Chance Shopping Center. Yes.
Thanks for being here. Yeah. If you do, you have some updates you want me to?
We have.
We'll hit that during the introduction. During the introduction, I'll call upon you if you have.
Yes. Okay. Okay.
Marnie.
Yes. Hi.
Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry. I just logged in.
Okay. Marnie Halas is an activist.
Community activist, helping everybody navigate the city's bureaucracy of getting services. Like I've been through everything. So I know how to access, but yeah, thanks.
Great. And did we miss anybody? Okay. Alrighty. Let me just put up the agenda so you guys get a good idea. And Alex will be watching the chat. And then let's see. We'll got so many things open. Okay, let me just kind of hide you guys a little bit. Our agenda for today. Okay, so You know, if anything happens as far as anybody busting into our and causing disruption, we'll close out and or I'll mute them or whatever, and then we'll jump back on if we have to. It's happened. It doesn't happen once, I think, maybe. Anyway, again, if you have any items that you want to triage, let us know, you know, beforehand. We'll try and fit it on the agenda or a future agenda. So we're here together as friends and members and attendees and speakers. We're sharing knowledge and ideas and resources to identify problems and find solutions to the homeless crisis. So that's a big lift. So we all know it's a big lift. So that's why we're here together. It's going to take a team of us, a big team, a critical mass to make the changes we need. And that's what we're working on. So the policy meeting, we had a meeting prior to this. And Alex, you can help me recap, but we briefly talked about some of the mayor's policies that are kind of old school and just been tested before and that doesn't work. And we discussed possibility of discussing it further as an agenda item. We were at a hearing yesterday about local law 18, which is to try and to gather data on Airbnbs. We know they cause problems with our housing stock. There was a lot of different speakers, Helen was there. Helen was actually there with us, and we had a conversation prior. I'm trying to get your view on, here we go.
Hello? Can
Yes.
anyone hear me?
Who's speaking?
I'm sorry. My name is Guadalupe.
Okay, Guadalupe, we're just running through the agenda right now. Where are you from, Guadalupe?
I'm currently living in Manhattan, and I have a really big problem. That's why I joined this meeting, hoping that somebody can help me.
Sure, we have some, we have an agenda item at the very bottom of our agenda about public concerns and so forth. We'll that give you a chance to speak about that specifically, and
Thank you.
We'll be happy to be here for you.
Thank you.
And looking further at the agenda, it's still on the policy updates. I think, and we talked about the warehousing briefly, and then we talked about a committee. Our committees, we're developing committees. We feel like the committee's a way to come together with other agencies. We're all short-staffed, underfunded. You know, that's the way it is with nonprofits. So if we can get together on committees and if it works for, you know, if it's a committee that we're, you know, about a particular pursuit, then we can have more, we can empower each other. And that's the point of the committees. And one of the newer committees we were talking about that we're developing is a HURT committee, and it's a urban repair team. And this is to take care of some cosmetic repairs to make people comfortable in their housing. A lot of landlords we know will not take care of the housing. They're not really prompt with the repairs. For instance, in my building, the hallway's been unpainted for over 20 years. People have problems with rats and holes and so forth. We can take care of this pretty efficiently. And so we're building that committee right now. It's in the conversational stages. We haven't had our first meeting yet. We've had meetings about the committee. So that's pretty much our policy meeting that went on right before this meeting. And anybody who wants to be involved in that policy meeting, you're welcome. And Alex, can you add to that? Or do you have anything?
Well, I don't want to take up too much time, but we did talk about Intro 195, which has a lot of support from the City Council. I looked at the support list 2 days ago, and there was like 7 or 8 council members. So that's the only thing that I can say.
Okay. And just give them context of the Intro 195.
Yes, Intro 195 is overall an anti-warehousing measure and a way to get data out of landlords who don't want to give data. So hopefully, if all goes according to plan, a tenant could call 311 and say that an adjacent empty apartment is causing problems, whether it's cold air or rats or vermin, and then the landlord would have 3 weeks to open up the empty apartment for inspection. And so that's the gist of it. And then there's a lot of like unspoken strategy that's tied to that, but only people who understand their right to call 311, they'll be able to take advantage of what we have in mind, and we'll be doing public education.
Okay, great, thanks. Our progress report is next on the agenda. Just briefly, we closed up our gardens, our farms. We've got we got 475 pounds of food from our city farm, 775 pounds from our upstate farm. We were able to expand our network. Main Chance got a lot of greens from us, from the upstate farm. We only used a fraction of the property we have upstate. We expect to do a massive production next season. And so that's the one progress report we've got going in the committees. So we'll move on to the introductions and updates. I have a few listed. We might have a few people that like to give their updates, but I have any elected officials that want to speak for a few minutes that have any updates. Yes, no? Donna, no, you're good?
No, we don't have anything to update, but just wanted to reiterate that our office is always here if anyone ever needs anything.
Great. Anybody else from the elected side? Okay, Clay, you have an update, right? Clay, I know you just stepped in. You want to introduce yourself?
Yes, so my name is Clay Turner and I am an account manager for Housing Works Community Healthcare. I just wanted everyone to be aware of our open availability for primary care at our clinics. If you have any clients who are in need of that, we also offer psych, so if you know anyone who is homeless and seeking a psych evaluation for supportive housing, like we're able to offer that, as well as therapy services, substance use treatment, and pretty much anything else that you can think of. I do have a brochure, and I can share it with everyone. Let me see. But John, if you can just share everyone's email addresses, and I think it's probably in the invite anyway, but I can share that brochure with everyone so that you can actually see the breakdown of all of our services. My contact information is on there. I can be your point of contact. So if you do have any clients or referrals that are in need of assistance, I can get them booked appointments really fast. Yeah. And that's about it. Pretty quick run through, but if y'all have any other questions, please feel free to email or call me, and I'll be sharing my contact information in the chat.
Okay, great. And if you have a flyer and so forth, I'll make sure it gets into the newsletter too.
Awesome. Thank you, John.
Great. Thank you. Sue, Sarana, I think you had something, right? Sue, are you here? She keeps busy. She might have stepped away. Daniel, anything from you, Ed?
No, my name is Dan Pitchinson. I'm the executive director of Ryan Chelsea Clinton Community Health Center on 10th Avenue in between 45 and 46. Just encouraging everybody to get the flu shot. It's one of the worst flu seasons we've had in a very long time. And you can come into our center and make an appointment to get one if you're not enrolled. Also encouraging everybody to get their COVID boosters, just as we're also seeing a small uptick in COVID cases in our center. Thank you.
Okay. And then Alex, I take it you've got you just spoke about the warehousing, which is fine. Is Sue, are you back?
Yes, I'm here, John. I'm sorry.
That's okay. That's okay.
I
Go
still
ahead.
don't know how to use Zoom.
Yeah, that's okay. So any updates from your end?
No, we're doing good. We're having a holiday party on the 23rd. So if anybody wants to come by for toiletries, we may have some coats from New York Cares and some boots from Red Wing. So anybody could come by and, see if they need anything. And we still have our pantry every third Wednesday of the month. So anybody that needs food need to come down for that.
And you serve breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Breakfast,
correct?
lunch, and dinner every single day, hot meals 3 times a day, yes.
Yeah. And the clothing thing, is that open all the time?
It's based on donation, but we're hoping to get about 100 coats from New York Cares. We don't know yet because the season hasn't been great, so we'll see. So we're hoping by the 23rd, when we have our holiday party, we have coats for adults and children, because we're also serving the migrants' families now in the soup kitchen. So a lot of kids come, so we're hoping to have some coats for them also.
Yeah. Okay, good. There's a lot of coat drives going on. Metro Baptist has Mondays, they have their coat closet open. It's just on Mondays. I think they line up at 10. So if anybody needs coats, if you're constituents, and I think Clay, you have a clothing closet. Are you full over there with clothes and coats and so forth?
Yes, we just received a shipment of mostly women's clothing. But yeah, we received a shipment about 2 weeks ago. So if anyone wants to drop by our Lower East Side clinic, it's at 749 East 9th Street, close to the East Village, and I can put that address in the chat as well. We do have quite a bit of winter jackets, and then I think scarves and socks as well.
Weren't you doing didn't you have a closet over there at 37th Street too?
I believe so. I think that's more like Justice Initiatives closet. I'm with Community Partnerships. So, I mean, I can see if they have a lot of stuff too. I just don't have very much jurisdiction over that closet. The one we have is pretty much the one Lower East Side. And I think we're also trying to establish one at our downtown Brooklyn clinic.
Okay, great. Okay. Luana, any updates for what you're doing and you want to add?
Hi, good morning, everybody. Luana Green from First Fruit Community Outreach. At First Fruit, we usually have City Harvest distribution every second Saturday of the month. We also recently got a shipment of toys from Toys for Tots, and we do a regular outreach for the homeless, giving out clothes and PPEs, underwear, socks, shoes, and so on and so forth. So it's most of the time we do it in East Harlem and in the Bronx, but I'm trying to start the initiative down here in Midtown and Lower Manhattan. So if anybody would like some more information, I'll put my information in the chat. I'm also on the board of Penn South, and as you know, we're fighting now with the MTA substation issue. But my basic concern is for those that are underserved and the homeless, and those that are fighting to keep their homes. So if anybody needs any assistance with food, clothing, shelter, please contact me and I will get them to the right people. So I will put my information in the chat. Thank you so much. Have a good day.
Thank you, Luana. And Richard, Shower Power, you're about closing down, right? You're closing down, or you closed down for the season? Richard, you're on mute. There we go.
Computer, new job, new computer. Sorry. Yeah, we packed up a couple of weeks ago for the season. So what I'm doing over the winter is coming to meetings like this, getting to know folks, and looking for partnerships that will boost everybody's service. So if there's a program that can plug in around the shower site, or if you have a bigger site with more footprint for partner services, that would be, I'd love to partner with you on that and get hygiene access more available.
Okay, great.
Okay.
All righty. So moving on down the line with the agenda, we're right to our agenda items. Let me ask you, is it Victoria? You're speaking in place of Chike?
Yes.
Okay. Do you have any time constraints today?
No, not at the moment. I believe I have a meeting at like 11:30.
Okay. I feel like we have a bigger discussion with you. I'd like to slip in Sarah right before you. And we're going to give her 5 minutes, and she's going to discuss what she's working on in the lawsuit, and then we'll spend most of the meeting with you, if that's okay. Okay, Sarah.
Hi, thanks, John. Yeah, I'm with the Cross Union Retirees Organizing Committee. I'm one of many groups fighting the city to keep our traditional Medicare. We don't want a private Medicare Advantage, an inferior private, what we call not Medicare disadvantage plan. We've been fighting since the spring of 2021. The city, along with the Municipal Labor Committee, which is supposed to be an umbrella organization for all approximately 100 municipal unions, had been negotiating to throw us into a private Medicare Advantage plan. Now, the Municipal Labor Committee is comprised of about 100 unions, but they do a weighted vote. So all decisions are made by the two top unions. That's the UFT and DC 37. So basically they decide everything because they have 2/3 of the vote. The first lawsuit on March 3rd, we've won every lawsuit. And then the city appealed and the city lost on November 22nd. That was not a surprise because both of these lawsuits where the city is losing is because of the law, Administrative Code 12-126, which states the city will pay the entire cost of health insurance coverage for city employees, city retirees, and their dependents, not to exceed 100% of the full cost of HIP HMO on a category basis. This law has been in effect since 1967, a year after Medicare was passed. Now, the HIP HMO benchmark, which ensures that everybody equally receives health care, is approximately $918. Retirees' health care falls far below that since the government pays 80% because we're on Medicare. So the city is in effect only paying the 20% that's left over for the Medigap plan. That's what we get as the senior care plan. So we are opposed to any, now that the city has lost all of their legal cases, they're going after the law. And what they've been doing is pushing the city council to try to amend the language of this law, which is the only protection that all city workers and retirees have for their health care. What they want to do is change the language. And what they would like to do is change the benchmark for retirees from $918 down to $7.50. That's the rate for the Medicare Advantage plan. So if we wanted to keep our traditional public Medicare with the senior care, we would then have to be paying almost $200 a month. The city has not been very successful, or the MLC. And remember, the MLC is the UFT and DC 37. And unfortunately, we are all unionists. We are lifetime unionists. But at this juncture, we need to fight against our unions right now, which are not protecting the benefits of the members. They have not had their way. The city council, due to a massive campaign by retirees, is not coming forward to amend Administrative Code 12-126. It's a hot item. They don't want anything to do with it. They've been hearing nonstop from thousands and thousands of retirees, do not amend Administrative Code 12-126. So the city and the MLC are now desperate. They are leading a disinformation campaign with the active union members, which we have to fight against also. We've been campaigning with the city council through emails, meetings, telephone calls, and our message has always been vote no on the administrative code change. Now our message is changing a little bit. We do understand that healthcare costs are high, but we believe that the city can bridge funding for the next several years by drawing on reserves in the Retiree Health Benefits Trust Fund to shore up the Health Stabilization Fund. This would allow time to seriously evaluate cost-cutting healthcare measures that the city and the MLC have themselves put on the table. Some of these cost-cutting options could be that the city sets up a self-insurance plan rather than insuring everybody through these private insurance companies. The city could take aggressive hospital pricing measures. They could go after the hospitals for exorbitant charges. They could engage in collective drug purchasing by consolidating union welfare fund drug plans. They could audit current insurance providers, and the city could save money that's being lost due to bad management, inefficiencies, and waste. We are still in danger. The city wants to get rid of our choice. They want to throw everybody into a Medicare Advantage plan. And if they cannot rely on the city council to do this, they may do what they are calling the nuclear option, which is to get an arbitrator, Marty Scheinman, to come forward and make the decision on behalf of everybody. The good news, we just announced another lawsuit, a class action suit against the city in the amount of $55 million because they have been charging $15 copays, which also violates Administrative Code 12-126. So that's just happened this week. So that's another punch to the city. Now we all understand why all of them are desperate to change this law. So what can we do? We continue to work the city council. We continue to tell them, vote no on any amendment to the language, because the language they want in there is going to create classes and different benchmarks. So we want to ask everybody to still contact the city council, urge them to do everything in their power to protect retirees' current health care, Medicare with the senior care supplement that we've always had since 1967. Tell them to push for other cost-saving measures to rein in health costs rather than diminishing municipal retirees' much-deserved health coverage. Tell them hands off our Medicare with senior care.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Sarah, thank you. To round that off, this doesn't just apply to the seniors and so forth. This is anybody who's carrying the Medicare, and it's the difference between the traditional Medicare and the Medicare Advantage plan. The Advantage plan is a corporate run, is a private run insurance company. This also, what we're seeing too is they're involved in the Medicaid. They're looking to take over that, just like everything else. Okay, so what's important about this and you being here is the fact that health is very important to helping us in our later years, especially our stability. And this undermines our stability, undermines people's health and welfare. And this causes a lot of problems when it comes to finances and trying to survive here in New York City, particularly with the high rents and so forth. Any questions for Sarah?
John, if I might add,
Sure.
Medicare is not only for people over 65, it's also for people with disabilities. And we do have a lot of retirees with children, adult children with disabilities. And if the city has its way and changes this law, then it won't only be for retirees' healthcare, it will be for current active municipal workers as well.
Mm-hmm. Now, Sarah, this is how we got involved with Sarah is like I said, the healthcare is important, but our health committee, we have a health committee that's developing pretty rapidly. I had Nancy's here. Nancy's part of our council. She can speak to how we got a little bit about our healthcare committee. Nancy, or you?
Hi, thank you so much. Sorry, I can't turn my camera on right now, but I wanted to give a quick update. I'm so happy for the conversation that we just had. The retirees have been doing amazing work, but I want to remind everybody that this is also the time where people's health insurance is getting flipped over. This is the time to tell people to keep their Medicare, not to switch it to Advantage Care. It's a complicated conversation that it's not just going to affect our retirees, it's actually going to affect all of us because we all have aunts, uncles, mothers, dads, in some way, shape, or form, we caregive. And to make it very, very simple, what is happening right now, and if you go to Wendell Potter, who is now part of our group and working with us, and he talks about recently, I think it was last month, a few weeks ago on Democracy Now!, he talked about that this is going to be one of the biggest private takeovers this century. What that means is, basically, is that corporations in this country have to make money. It's mandatory. If you don't make money, you are removed as the CEO. That's your job. Government's job is not to make money. It's to invest in its communities. We're moving Medicare, a healthcare, from a place that doesn't do commercials, that is government run, that works, into the hands of private institutions that need to make money off of our healthcare. And we've already seen in the last 15 years and during COVID that this is a bad deal. They deny care when you need it. They say there's messed up paperwork. We have sent countless of information to all of you. We want you to look at it, understand it, but also if you don't have the time, you need to let your constituents know, keep your straight Medicare. It's your gold card. fight against the privatization of Medicare. It will affect us all. And that includes backing up these retirees because this hits home. This is right in our back door. So the Cross Union needs you to spread the word. This is also a bipartisan issue. This is an issue that goes across the board. We're talking the FDNY, we're talking conservatives. Across the board, this is bad for us. This is not good. If you look up Katie Porter, 5 minutes on YouTube, she gives a great explanation. I'll put the names of the people in the chat. So we have been, as the health committee, have been working with Wendell Porter, with PHNP, which are actually physicians nationally who are against the privatization of Medicare. As Midtown South, where we are right now, is really trying to spread the word, but the language has been difficult. It has been a challenge for all of us. So if anybody wants to join us in being able to communicate what is happening in our nation, in our city, in regards to our healthcare, please join us. But we're working on that, and we're working to have some documents to be able to pass out by the end of this month, by the end of the year. So that's where we are. We're also asking people to watch the mayor's new plan of mandatory the word is not mandatory that I'm looking for, but allowing the NYPD to involuntarily place people in hospitals. Part of that is a good thing. I know where it's coming from, but that really needs to be watched. We need healthcare services on the ground when that goes on. We'd like to see funding go into that area. Where are these people going? So this is something that may affect a lot of your constituents. And it's something we should be looking into on our own. And so I'm just putting that out there. I think there is support here for the mayor, but at the same time, it needs to be the right kind of pushback that says, who are you targeting? Why are you targeting them? Where's the funding behind it? And you know, making sure that this doesn't just go totally left. So I know there are a lot of advocates here for mental health and housing. So that's it for now in terms of our work that we're doing. And if anybody would like to join the health committee, we welcome you to join us.
Great, thank you, Nancy. Lisette, you had a comment, right?
Luana has her hand up, John.
Lisette had something in the chat. Lisette, did you?
John, I think Lisette wanted to make sure that we mentioned that this is not only going to affect retirees. If the law is changed, it will affect all municipal workers.
Yes, exactly. And that's why we're connecting with you, Sarah, because why you're important, because we have to come together on these issues, and we look for your support on our initiatives too. Okay, any other questions for Sarah before we move on? Marnie.
Oh, hi. Oh,
sorry. I was going to say Luana had her hand up.
Oh, we'll get to, okay. Luana, well, either one.
Let Marnie go. Go ahead, Marnie.
Oh, hi. I just wanted to ask, so from what I'm hearing, are there any advocates in city council, or are there no advocates about this?
Oh, we have a lot of friends in city council. That's why the city has not been able to move them. They thought they'd just jump in with a lot of disinformation and that city council would follow immediately. They were urging them to put forth a vote to amend the language. They want to add the language to the law, which will give them the option to adjust the benchmarks and the classes of people getting the different healthcare program plans. So there are many, most of the city council has remained kind of, diplomatic. nobody is coming forward to put forth this amendment law. And we have a lot of friends because we're on the streets a lot. CROC is a street activist group, and several city council members come and they are vocally with us. But we still have to be really careful that some other ones don't come forward with this potential vote. You know, it's confusing for them because a lot of the unions supported their campaigns. Now, this is a strange situation because the rank and file has to fight against our own unions. It's not fun, it's not nice. And we don't like it because we've been unionists our entire lives. But some of the unions, not all of them, I'm talking about the UFT and DC 37, are not protecting our rights.
Yeah. So what Marnie was really getting specific there was do we have any advocates? One thing is not to go along to be there, that sort of thing, but advocates to your goals. And
yeah, I would have to say that we have advocates. I can just name a few. Christopher Marte has been a strong advocate. He was the one who put forth, who demanded that the retirees have a sit-in when the MLC and the city were doing their presentations. We got equal time. Alexa Aviles is a strong advocate. You know, several others say that Charles Barron, of course, these are people we can always rely on. There are others who have said, definitely, we will vote no on this. Okay. Carlina Rivera, you know, I'm not sure right now, others are coming to mind, but even behind the scenes, they're working their colleagues to educate them, to make sure that they understand the retiree point of view. And these city council members, they're between a rock and a hard place. This is 250,000 voting retirees. Mm-hmm. So that's why it's a hard thing for them. And they have felt massive, you know, pressure from us.
Yeah, that's
so we have to keep on.
Exactly, that's what's required. Luana,
yeah, you guys should probably have Alexa or Christopher organize a you know, a rally at City Hall.
We've had a lot of rallies at City Hall. We've had many rallies at City Hall, and Christopher always comes out with us.
Good.
So, you know, keep in touch with CROC. We are the ones on the street. And Tiffany Caban, I see in the chat, she's with us. You know, keep in touch with us. We'll be happy to invite you to our next rally.
Okay, we have to move on. Luana, you had a quick one?
Yes, I had a quick question for Sarah. Thank you, Sarah and Nancy. I was wondering, because I worked for Medicaid for 13 years, and the city has been, and I just recently retired in the last year. And I'm not of the age of the Medicare, but I know that on the backs of the disabled and the elderly, the city has always been negligent in taking care of them, always. And it was always during my tenure, it was always heartbreaking to see the city forcing elderly and disabled people to pay additional charges for their Medicaid while people with millions of dollars got Medicaid for free. The city has always been pushing for privatization of Medicaid. Unfortunately, it began with Obamacare, and then it went on from there. So now they see another large pot of money that they can extract from people, and that's through the privatization of the Medicare. Now, one of the questions I have, the unions really quickly, the unions say that because they only have the $800,000 in reserves, that they won't be able to negotiate properly if they don't agree to this amendment, right? So that was the union's position on that. and that they will not have enough money to cover the medical services that the retirees already have. And they won't be able to negotiate for the continual working people without agreeing to this amendment. So there are more than DC 37, like you said, and more than the UFT involved in this. There's also 1180, there's several other unions that have agreed to this amendment. My question to you is, going forward, since you won this lawsuit, going forward, what's the next steps? Is there a next step? Is there going to be another lawsuit? Is the city going to file? And also, I'd like to say that our city councilman for District 3, Eric Barcher, is up for re-election. It's a good time to push him. Thank you.
Thank you, Luana.
Thank you. Do
Eric,
you want me to
can you answer
address
that
that?
really quickly?
Really quickly. Yeah, Eric Botcher needs to be pushed along with several others. The only thing we can do now is we're kind of in limbo. We don't know what the city's going to do next. We don't think that they're going to appeal again because all 5 judges unanimously voted down their appeal. So they're going to keep pressuring the city council. There's a big story about where that money went that was in the Health Stabilization Fund. I'm not getting into that here, but there's a lot of disinformation coming out about they're broke, they don't have money, they don't have this, they have to throw the retirees under the bus. Well, that doesn't make much sense since the retirees' health care is only 6% of the entire city's budget for health care. There are other ways to save money, and that's what we are pushing in our communications with the city council and the mayor and anybody else. So that's all we know right now.
Good. Thank you for that, Sarah. Anybody has any questions on that, please put it in a chat. We'll try to respond to that, but we're a little over on this issue, and we want to get to the DA's office and agenda, and also the public's agenda. So if we can get to those, that'd be great. So I'm sorry if you have any questions, any further questions, but put it in a chat, and or any follow-ups that you need, and we'll work on those. And I'm sure Sarah would be happy to answer anything, after this meeting. If you want to, Sarah, if you want to put your email in, maybe if somebody needs to speak with you.
I think I did put it in there. You can always contact us at CROC, CROC NYC22@gmail.com.
Great. Thank you so much, Sarah. And let's get to Victoria. Victoria, you here?
Hi.
Victoria. Okay. So Victoria Grevenberg. Grevenberg. Thanks for being here. You want to introduce yourself and give you a little bio or whatever you want to speak, give everybody some context and take it away.
Sure. Thank you so much for inviting us. Again, I am here on behalf of the Housing and Tenant Protection Unit, the chief of which is Chike Obiabuchi. He had another matter to tend to today. So I will be the full representation of the unit. So the Housing and Tenant Protection Unit I'm the housing coordinator. There's my bio, sorry about that. The unit was announced back in October. Officially, it is work that the Financial Frauds Bureau has, been working on even prior to the announcement of that. It's just now that there's an official unit, we are able to kind of hone in on that work more and really give it the attention and the backing that it deserves. So the unit was created specifically to address systematic.
Oops. I'm sorry, Sarah, something happened. You want to?
Can you hear me?
Victory? Yeah, there you go.
Okay. So the unit was created to address the systematic victimization of residents by bad landlords. And by that, we mean like egregious, outrageous conduct If you got the chance to tune into the press release about the unit, one example DA Bragg reference was where a landlord removed the staircase from a building and tenants weren't able to actually access their apartment. So we're talking egregious behavior that severely impairs the habitability of residents' housing accommodations, and it creates or it maintains conditions which endanger the safety and the health of the tenants. And this unit was able to come about because of a new subsection of the penal law, section 241, which now allows us to criminally pursue tenant harassment. And so that, it should be noted, kind of narrows what we are able to pursue, because it specifically outlines 2 or more tenants within the same building, or rather by the same landlord. So it doesn't necessarily, I misspoke, I'm sorry, it doesn't necessarily have to be in the same building, but by the same landlord, that are rent regulated. And this behavior by the landlord would be to intentionally engage in a systematic conduct of, getting them to leave or forcefully evicting them so that they can ultimately deregulate the apartment. And so that is the bulk of what the unit is focusing on. We also, however, do pursue deed fraud and illegal conversions within the realm. I'm sure that you're aware is the short-term conversions of like Airbnbs, short-term hotel stays, as it pertains to specifically using rent-regulated apartments so that they can, have that extra income there, as opposed to giving the rent-regulated apartments to the tenants who are actually in need. And then I mentioned the deed fraud. That is something that we see particularly in single family homes. So those are the main issues. And, within the Financial Frauds Bureau, we also pursue other financial fraud related schemes. And so I do want to go ahead and, am I able to share my screen?
Sure, I can make that happen. Just give me 1 second. Are you going to be our best friends?
Something like that, hopefully.
Hold on, participants. It should be participants, Victoria Moore. I'll make you a co-host. You're there.
Okay, let me see. So what I'm going to share with you guys is, okay. Are you guys able to see?
Yeah, can you make it a little bigger?
Sure. So this is essentially a decision tree that kind of outlines and dictates to, other agencies, whether it's other Danny offices or other external agencies, such as Legal Aid Society organization, so on and so forth. So we kind of use this to guide both individuals and organizations as to whether or not the issue is one that we are able to take on. So if you start at the top here, essentially everything outlined in blue, until you get to this red part, it may or may not be something that we can handle, likely may not, because as I mentioned, it has to be rent regulated in terms of the tenant harassment portion. It has to be rent regulated. There has to be 2 or more tenants. It has to be for the purposes of removing that tenant to deregulate the apartment. And so then once you check off all those boxes, yes, go ahead and contact us. And then ultimately from there, these are some other issues that we may be able to assist and we may not, but we would obviously need to, from that point, gather some more information that addresses the short-term rentals that I mentioned, that addresses the safe and unhealthy conditions, And so this is just kind of like a very, very basic guideline as to whether or not it is an issue that we will be able to handle. And
Can you send that to us?
sure.
And
How do I exit this?
and then, yeah, still a little small for me to read. And it's, but
Okay.
I got the gist of it.
Gotcha. And that's something we will, we actually just got approved to be able to disseminate. So we will be sending that to various organizations such as yourself. And I'm trying to think, I
Sounds
left
like
off one.
a low criteria easy criteria to meet, I think. And then I imagine with a little research, you can find the other buildings around the city, and you can find with a little flying, and maybe that's something HCC could help with, or WESNA. Alex, do you agree?
I think, yeah, they would be happy and enthusiastic to help.
Okay, cool. That's
And then the last thing I just want to say is I'm going to go ahead and put the contact information here. We take complaints and reports via the email address listed there, as well as our hotline with the phone number for which is also listed there.
Yeah, I have a few people that been helping with. I'll get some information together and send it to you as well. And you got your email and everything in there, right?
You can contact via the Danny Housing email address, and I'm the person that does all of the intake, so I will get all the emails.
Cool. Victoria, we're glad to have your introduction then. This is something that I've, we're understaffed in a lot of areas, like your human rights division, all that. How's the staffing with with your division?
Well, right now we are just, since the unit was just announced in October, we don't necessarily have a number of, or like a bandwidth of what we can and can't handle based on our current staffing. So as things progress, we're getting a lot of, as I mentioned, as we deal with rent regulated, we get a lot of calls that, this needs to go to housing court, or this is a civil issue, or this is not within the borough of Manhattan. So as we kind of communicate to the general public, this is what we're able to handle, we will have, a better idea of what our bandwidth is.
Yeah, and then you'll hire it when needed, I guess. And this is something I discussed with Jean Baptiste some year ago or longer, maybe before the pandemic, that we needed a little bit oomph with the enforcement from the DA's office. And I'm so happy to hear about this when I heard about this. Anybody have anything else before going to questions, Victoria? Okay. Anybody have questions for Victoria? No questions for Victoria? Well, I have a few.
Yes, I have a question.
Okay, go ahead. Charisma, right? Yeah.
Yes, this is Charisma.
Go ahead.
Are we able to report landlords that we know that, I know a few landlords that haven't registered buildings, that don't repair buildings, and they have multiple violations, but the city is not doing nothing. Is this what this is about, to report those people?
So as I mentioned, we look at tenant harassment and deed fraud, as well as illegal conversion. So violations don't necessarily automatically mean that it's going to be an issue that we handle. But if you know of someone that is being harassed by their landlord, whether or not there are existing violations on HPD or what have you, you can go ahead and report that to our hotline or our email address, which I have put in the chat.
What would you consider harassment? Like stealing packages and like not repairing stuff? Is that harassment?
That's a good question. So we are looking at things that essentially make your housing situation uninhabitable. So failure to address repairs that, for example, heat and hot water, or mold, or things of that nature, things that are like egregious. Stealing packages, unfortunately, you might want to defer to postal police. But we are
Yeah, but
looking
it's the super that's doing it, and I reported him to the management, and they have not done nothing. And
right.
he
So
steals people's stuff all the time, and we report him. I even called the cops and everything.
So unfortunately, that's not an issue that we would be able to handle. We, as I mentioned, look at egregious actions and a pattern of egregious actions by landlords. So if, for example, you didn't have a stove for 6 months, or if you didn't have hot water or water at all,
But
or
okay,
if
how about if he's not complying to the codes of the building, like, because our building, the electricity goes out if you plug up something. I called Con Edison, and they told me that they told him several times he need to rewire his whole building.
Okay,
And
so
he
it
has
sounds like
done it.
you might be able to, if you want to, just so that we're not taking up everybody's time, if you want to go ahead and submit your complaint to the email, or give us a call at the 212-335-8900, and you can indicate you have a housing issue, and then we can talk about it further. Just because I don't want to give you like a one-off, yes, this is an issue that we handle, and so we can look at it that way.
Okay. When I call, I would like to discuss, like, I want to help out the community with this. Like, this is an outlet where I could tell other people, oh, you having a problem, your landlord is harassing you. Here's a number, you can get some help.
That'd be great. Yeah. Victoria, you were here when we discussed our committee, our HERT committee.
Yes.
You heard that. How would that communication would work? I mean, I've mentioned that we would like to see HPD, DHCR, and of course legal aid, tenants. Is that something we can get you involved with? Come to the meetings, join us in scoping out the needs of a particular client?
Yeah, so what you can do is you can just send to the same email, actually, the various dates that you have of your different organization meetings, or any like community meetings such as like this one, and you can just send it, and then we'll take it from there if it's something that we would be able to participate in, and we would go from there.
Great. I'll definitely have you on my email list, and you'll hear about this meeting every monthly. Feel free to step in any time. Anybody else have any?
I have a question. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, Victoria. I'm a tenant, and what I notice, I'm going to partly rent and stabilized building, is when you say illegal conversion, are you talking from rent stabilization to market rate?
Yes, so essentially we're looking at that as a form of tenant harassment, where you are pushing the tenants out so that you can ultimately deregulate the apartment and list it at market rate.
What I notice is they're not pushing tenants out, but what they're doing is illegally raising the rate. They're not using the formula, they're not following the rules, they're throwing the rent up from $700 to $3,000. The construction costs don't justify, nor do the new rules justify that rent raise, but no one can report it but the tenants coming in, and they're not informed enough to know. And when you do try to inform people, the process with the rent board is heavily in the landlord's favor, it feels like.
Yeah.
I could say half my apartments in my building went through that process.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty rampant. Helen, are you talking about, like, for instance, you can get a list of history rent on your apartment?
You can't get from anyone else's.
Right.
because it won't come to me. You can't research the building. I know for a fact the gentleman passed away in a rent stabilized apartment. He was paying $600. It's now renting for $34. I know what the construction costs. I grew up in construction. And I knew they did the and there's 6 of these that happened, but I knew this particular one happened after the new 2019 rules. And what the landlords, the ones who are not warehousing because of the rules, are just blatantly violating the limits on capital improvements because the odds of them being caught are minimal. And there's no public data for that information unless you're the actual tenant. And I come from this as someone who's an Airbnb host asking to release my public data. So I'm wondering why is the landlords and the rent stabilization information isn't a little more transparent if the goal is to keep these apartments rent stabilized?
Yeah, that's a good question. Victoria, do you have, if I can summarize that, do you have a formula of what they should be investing in, what they say they're doing to get? No,
they don't have to prove, they don't have to
I know.
provide
I know,
information
but
unless they go in front of a judge.
yeah, my question, Victoria, do you have an understanding of that as far as the costs to renovate and raising the rents? Are you looking at that? Or are you doing that on case-by-case basis?
We're doing essentially everything on a case-by-case basis, given that the penal law is, pretty new, as is the unit. So my understanding, obviously, we have relationships with HPD and DHCR, so on and so forth, DOB. And so we essentially, and if this were a case that we were taking on, for example, we would have to reach out to them and figure out their parameters first and figure out in what ways, from there that landlord has,
I was just curious, what would be the threshold? 1 apartment or 5 apartments over a course?
We're looking at systematic harassment. So the penal law is very clear.
You're going to be very, very busy then.
2 or more is the threshold.
Right. And if a landlord's constantly taking somebody to court, that would be a good, that would be an issue too, I imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I find they're a little more subtle in the process.
Yeah.
There are all these truly horrific where they harass people. I think it's a little more basic. They take advantage of someone moving, someone passing away, long-term person, and just hope no one notices about the rent increase.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Happens all the time. It's rampant.
6 in my building.
Yeah. Any other questions from anyone? Alex, I know you were excited to have.
No, I was just monitoring raised hands, but I don't see any. Tom Kaler wanted to.
Tom.
But no, well, he's no longer with us. He had to go to something else. But he
Absolutely.
mentioned that he's going to meet with, I guess, Victoria's office, because tenant protection unit, I know there's a DHCR tenant protection unit, but I don't think that's what he meant. But he's going to discuss building professionals who file false documents with DOB in order to harass tenants. And he will let us know what he finds out.
Okay, great.
Victoria, are you meeting with Tom? Because I wasn't sure which tenant protection unit he was.
Yeah, we've been in contact with Mr. Kaler.
Okay, thank
you. Good. So you know Tom. Good. He's part of the council's board. He's very active. Anybody else? Anything else to add, Victoria?
No, thank you for having us. And hopefully, you guys will soon see the impact of the unit.
I'm sure.
And we look forward to possibly joining you once more.
Okay. We're happy to have you, and we look forward to having a good relationship with you. Anybody else? None for last words for this agenda item before we meet the public? Okay. All right. So let's move on. we're always, big with on the agenda, but I did want to spend some time on the public side of things, public concerns, and I think we have a few people here from the public that has some issues. Let's see. Let me just look at the agenda, start with the agenda, and then cancel that. Share. Okay. Committee, Medicare, here we go, public. I know Kimberly's not here. Charisma, we have an issue with you. And Janice, Janice is here, and we have West 55 Fifth Street Block. And I think there's a couple other people that came that wanted to speak to their issue. Janice, are you here? Janice?
Yes, I'm here.
Hi, Janice. Did you want to speak to your issue or?
Yeah, morning, everyone. Thank you very much for the invite.
Thanks for being here.
I'm currently working at Metro Baptist Church as a front desk receptionist. I have been homeless for 38 months. I got a voucher placed into apartment affordable housing. But my concern is that I'm looking to see if I can get a Section 8 voucher because my family consists of 5 of us. We live in a 2-bedroom apartment in Manhattan. The place is extremely small. So I'm really wondering if I can obtain a Section 8 voucher because of my family size, the composition. I work 16 hours a week, part-time. So I'm dire in need of help of obtaining a Section 8 voucher. Can anyone in the panel guide me or direct me or assist me and my family in obtaining such voucher?
Yeah, Tamara, can you speak to that? Tamara's with CUCS. Is anybody else here from BU? Any other agencies? We usually have a few. Tamara, are you here with us? Tamara? Maybe she's stepped out for a coffee. But basically, you want a Section 8 voucher. You have a Section 8 voucher, but you want.
I have a PREBEPS voucher. I have the regular PREBEPS voucher. My voucher, when I got it, was $1,580. My family of 4.
Right.
Then my big son came and stayed with us. He's living with us, but it's kind of clear.
And you definitely need a bigger apartment, and you have a bigger family. I saw them too. I met your kids. They're lovely. Janice was. We were over at the Metro Baptist Thanksgiving dinner. We served about 650 people in 3 hours. It was amazing, and there was a lot of volunteers, and it was a great feast, and everybody felt like they were well taken care of, and we offered extra meals for people, and Janice was there with her kids, and they were a great help too. So Tamara, are you on board here? Anybody else want to step in, connect with Janice? Otherwise, I'll.
Hi, John. I'm sorry. This is Sue.
Okay.
Janice, the Section 8 vouchers are no longer being issued. But what voucher do you have? Is it a City for Helps voucher?
Yes.
Okay, so then you need to go back to public assistance and have them reissue your City for Helps based on your family size. And that will help you get a bigger apartment.
And that's to, who'd you say, public assistance you're talking about?
That's who issues the City for Helps vouchers.
And HBD issues the vouchers as well.
Yes. So then she needs to recertify based on her family size, and that will raise the amount of the voucher amount, because $1,500 is for 1 bedroom.
Yeah, I reached out to HPD on Charisma's issue just recently. I haven't heard back from them. Is this where you have a strong connection, Savannah?
I would say public assistance would be the better place. Yeah,
Yeah.
they don't return calls.
You and Janice, you have that connection, that contact, or do you?
Yeah, my center is 16th Street right now. 14th Street, they moved to 16th Street.
Yeah, the second floor. Yeah, I think second or eighth floor. Yeah, you need to go back there with your, letting them know your family size, proving birth certificate and everything for everybody in the family. And then they have to reissue you a new voucher based on that family size. And then you'll be able to go in and get a 4 or 5 bedroom apartment, whatever it is.
Will they? Will she have to go through a whole new packaging, or is it easily done? Or
No,
nothing's
it's not.
easily
No,
done.
it's not. No, it's not. It's not going to be easy, but it's worth going to get it done. Like I said, because she'll be able to get her voucher amount will go definitely at least 3,000, which would enable her to get a bigger apartment.
Well, what would you suggest as far as giving her a helping hand, somebody to help guide her through this? Who should I best reach out to?
She needs to gather all the kids' identifying documents, birth certificate, everything proving family size.
Right.
And then she could take the old voucher with all of that down to 14th Street. 16th Street, I'm sorry. I would say go in person, phone calls, I don't think that will help. I would say go in person. If that doesn't work out, then definitely, we'll make some phone calls, but try it in person first and see what happens.
Is that something you need, Janice? Do you feel like you need assistance with, or you feel like you?
Yes, I would like to have some assistance because I suffer with depression and anxiety. So at times I'm not really that vocal when I should be vocal.
Yeah, I got you. Sometimes it's difficult. Yeah, I get that. So you need a social worker that can work alongside of you, basically. Yeah. Okay. So we know the first step. We're going to take Sue's first step suggestion, but we need to get someone to maybe a social service particularly. Any suggestion there? I can also reach out to our other network who's not on this meeting as well. But Sue, any suggestion as far as a social worker?
Usually our health provider usually have navigators to do things like that. I know we work with NYU Lutheran. I'm not sure who she's getting her services from. They should be able to provide her a navigator who'll be able to go to appointments with her and help her navigate things like that.
Yeah. And Janice, do you have someone you worked with before that you liked, or is?
No.
It sounds like.
The person I work with already closed my family case for a few years. So.
Okay. So we need to get someone new, it sounds like.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's work on that. Can we be in touch with you, Sue, and then
Yes. Anytime.
Janice, I know how that goes. And you're not alone. So thanks for bringing your issue here. Moving on.
John,
yes.
Can we recognize Guadalupe?
Sure. Yes, Guadalupe. Yes.
Yes. Hello. I moved into this apartment in 2021 of January. And as I moved in, I had to put my husband in the hospital because he was diagnosed with a brain tumor. So I moved here alone and he was head of household. The voucher was under his name. He passed away in December 4th. Last year, he passed away December 4th. And I informed City FEPS of his passing and that I needed the voucher to be transferred into my name. and instead they just took it away.
Hmm. And then, so I imagine you're behind in rent.
Well, I'm not behind in rent because
It's killing you.
yeah, it is. It is. It's just I'm having to borrow money from friends, you know.
Where are
And
you living, Janice? Where are you
I'm li-
living?
I'm living in on West 54th.
Mhm. Okay, and you've lived there for a long time, it sounds like.
No, just January of last year, 2021. I moved in.
Uh-huh. So you need to get reassigned, either reassigned to a voucher if they took it away. You need to get
Well,
this.
I've maintained a friendship with my case manager from when we were in shelter, and
Mhm.
she told me that the voucher should have just been transferred to my name. You know, it shouldn't have been taken away from me.
Uh-huh. What agency took it away from you?
City FEPS.
City FEPS, and that's through HPD?
I don't know what that is. HRA.
Housing Preservation. Do I have that right, Sue Rana? Is it HPD or
HRA.
HRA?
Mhm.
I'm sorry, all these, yeah. So HRA was,
I have a case manager from SUS who's supposed to be helping me, you
Mhm.
know, and he's telling me that what I need to do is continue paying my 30% of the rent, you know, and I'm scared of doing that. I'm scared of, you know,
is that what you were paying before, 30%?
yes, with the voucher, you only pay 30% of your income.
Right. Okay, that doesn't sound, we know SUS, they're part of our network. Who were you dealing with SUS?
His name is Gilbert Lewis, and I've been trying to contact him for like the past 2 weeks because he said he was going to email me a form of some kind of like uh, hardship form or something like that that I needed to fill out. And he was supposed to send that to me 2 Mondays ago. And I mean, not yesterday, but the Monday before that. And I didn't receive it. I call him and I get voicemail. I email him, he doesn't respond. Today he called me during the Zoom meeting and he said, unfortunately, I'm gonna be off this whole week. So I just feel that I've been given somebody that is not taking my situation seriously. You know, I'm 65 years old. I'm still grieving the passing of my husband, who I relied on a lot for many things.
I can
And
understand. Let me ask you something. When has the landlord been contacting you about?
well, the landlord was the one that informed me because I kept calling HRA, telling them I haven't received their renewal packet.
Okay.
This was after I informed them of the passing of my husband. I faxed them a death certificate and everything, you know.
Yeah.
And
You're at 55th Street and what? I'm sorry.
54th. It's off 8th, between 8th and Broadway.
Okay. All right. So you're real close to our garden up there. Between the council person there, is that Rosenthal or Botcher? I'm kind of hazy on the lines. We can include them in on the conversation too. We can reach out to HRA. Sue, what are your perspective on this?
Were you on the list with your husband? It was only him.
Yes. No,
You were on the list.
Yes.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, the voucher needs to be transferred to you.
And it wasn't.
SUS, is that are you working with home base or just
Yes.
SUS? Home base.
Home base.
Okay. Well, I would, since whoever it is not assisting you. I mean, I know everybody like to make phone calls, but I'm one for in-person service. I suggest you visit the home base office.
I tried to. I can't without an appointment, and it's impossible to reach the office. You call them, and it just goes directly to voicemail, and then the voicemail is full. You can't leave a message.
Okay. Maybe we can. What's Gilbert's last name? That name's familiar. What's his last name?
My case manager,
Yeah.
Lewis, Gilbert Lewis.
All right. Send me the contacts. send the contacts to us, also Gilbert too. And we'll just make a general inquiry. And it could be, it is the holidays. Everybody's understaffed since COVID. It's been pretty much an issue. It might not be anything to worry about at all. Sue seems to think they should have just automatically transferred it. Maybe they just need to be reminded. But we'll send a general inquiry, see where it is, with your email on it. Make sure I have your email. You have my email, right?
Do you see my email there?
Yeah, you have mine, right?
I'm not sure.
Okay, yeah, if you put it in there, it's here. Yeah,
What is yours?
I'll put mine right into the chat. Send me some details on, and of course we have this recorded, and then we'll send a letter out. We'll send a letter out and see if we can get things moving for you.
You know, my case manager, you may know her from when I was in shelter. You may know her. Her name is Sharon Lux. She was the one that told me that it should have been transferred to my name, and when I faxed the information over to City FEPS, I faxed them the lease, I faxed them the death certificate and a note saying that I needed the voucher to be transferred to have my name on it.
Okay.
And then
Okay.
they just
Send me all those people, because they should be included. So it's always good to get everybody together, and so they know what's being said and and then they can help each other to facilitate it. And we'll even include Sue and for advisory purposes.
Can somebody advise me? My case manager is telling me to continue paying the 30% of the rent.
Well, that doesn't sound like a bad idea to me, but I don't want to make that recommendation without Sue. What do you think?
Yeah, she should continue paying her rent.
Yeah, yeah.
No, I mean the only 30%, not pay
Yes,
the full.
whatever your allowance is to pay, continue to pay it. Continue to keep in line with your lease. Yes.
Yeah, it makes sense to me, because you don't want to get behind even on 30%, because
No, I don't think I'm understanding. My rent, I believe, is the full amount is $792.72, something like that. My portion of the rent with a City FEPS voucher is $245.10.
Okay.
So my case manager at SUS is telling me to pay the $245 as if I still had a voucher.
Yes.
Yes, pay your allowance. Yes, not the whole rent. What you're scheduled to pay according to your lease.
Yes.
Yes.
Just as if you have the voucher.
Yes.
And that way you're not behind, it's not building up, and you don't find yourself in trouble paying that.
And it wouldn't be grounds for eviction.
Exactly. But anyway, okay, moving on. Anybody else on the public concerns? Anybody at all? Alex, you're checking the chat.
Yeah, I just wanted to recognize the Office of Assemblymember Rosenthal. So 54th between 8th and Broadway, if it's the building I'm thinking of, I don't want to say the name without your permission, but that is in Assemblymember Rosenthal's office, and Donna put her contact information in the chat for anyone who, Guadalupe, for example, if they need assistance.
Great. We'll definitely add that contact onto the email, the conversation. I think James Oppenheim have a comment. We have to wrap this up soon. James?
I'll be brief. I'm here regarding the encampment between 50 on 55th Street between 6th and 7th. And I don't know, I'm new to this. I'm a former legal aid attorney a long time ago.
Oh, great.
But not for many, many years. I haven't even practiced law in many years, but I live here. We've lived on this block now for over, my wife has lived here for over 25 years. The situation is out of control, has become out of control. We have an encampment that is not, as I understand it, as I've observed it, not primarily homeless in the classic sense of homeless people who can't afford housing, but instead people who are essentially an opium den on our block. It's a drug encampment. We have people that are on the street with needles in their arms, literally. And my biggest concern, they get cleared out, and then a week later they're back. And in fact, the materials that they're using to create the encampment go into a hotel green wheeled device that is then wheeled to a different block where they get the encampment for a week. And it seems to me that I have absolute sympathy for people who are homeless, and my heart goes out, for instance, to what Janice was saying, who is not homeless but is dealing with the city and its crisis. And I don't want to seem at all like it's not a NIMBY situation. This is a situation where in order for kids to get to the subway at 55th Street, they have to climb over the feet of people who are in the street who are doing drugs in front of them. And I don't know if there's anything that we can do as a community, but it's horrible. And this is not, I think the mental health crisis that the mayor talked about, this is not the mental health crisis. This is a public safety crisis.
Yeah.
It's enough to turn me, a lifelong Democrat, former Democratic committeeman, in the other direction. And at this point, boy, I'm so angry at myself for even saying those words, but so we've got to do something. What are we going to do?
Yeah, James, unfortunately, you'll get it from both sides. It won't make a difference. That's number one. Number two, I've been on that list actually that you guys been emailing, and I've offered to have a side meeting and a real focused meeting on this, but nobody's taken me up on it. And I think the route you're going is not going to go to a resolution. And I see, and we know this, I've been at this for quite some time. And when the police are involved, that's not the answer either, because they just move them and they move back and they move here, they move, it causes problems everywhere else. But we have to stop moving the problem. The core issue is the very core is the economic system. Policies are the problem. And I think we know history, a little bit about history about the drug, the whole drug thing, about the lawsuits and so forth. So we don't have to get into that. But what we can do, and I think what can work, is we have a very focused meeting. We have these outreach. I don't know if Tamara and I know Clay had left the meeting. He was from Housing Works. They do some great work with addiction, and you heard him. He's open to having more people. And Tamara is from CUCS. They do a lot of outreach. There are specific nonprofits that focuses on drug addiction. I think what we need to do is of course, you've got plenty of pictures. I've seen them. However, I'm not sure who did the video, but it's the video highlights the problem, but the way it's done, I think, got to be careful, because it does look like, especially with the music, I think it looks like you're characterizing them as right now, a lot of the administration, the mayor's administration, is punching down. The people on the streets are only 5% of the homeless population, and they suffer more degradation and threats and than you know, I mean, if you look in the news and if you look at the crime statistics, there's a lot of crime that is going up. That's because of the state we're in. We're not taking care of our people here, and pushing them out of subway with no plan to put them anywhere or have housing, you know, giving them stability and helping them to develop is just the wrong method. So what we have to do as a community is to support some positive policies, number one, and then of course gather together with these agencies that are on the nonprofits that are on the ground doing the work. And we have within our network here, we have access to a few of those people. They don't always come to the meeting, but we can always work to you know, have a side meeting or focus on this at one of our meetings and specifically reach out. I see, I've been involved with breaking down encampments myself, and they were a mix of people drinking and drugs and prostitution and so forth. And it requires a steady reach out, and it requires opportunities for them. Unfortunately, we don't have the housing, and that's the number one stability for people. That's for people to grow, and they're not looking to give that to us. And that's where we need community support, number one. And you just heard from our health initiatives. That is also a area of support that we need. We need to bring the critical mass. As far as your specific case there, I'm all for meeting with your group. I'm glad you highlighted this. I'm glad you came here, James. I'm really glad to see you here. I know some people there with that group too. I understand you're, you know, and you all are lovely people. But it's really attacking the core issue, not just band-aids, because we get that all the time. It just never goes away. And so, but we can bring some social services, DHS, we can connect with them. We can, I've done this over with another area. Sometimes it still comes back, but then at least people know about it and they're focused, and that's the idea. And different agencies, not just one. Especially when it comes to when you talk about drugs, there are specialized, you know, people who specialize in that area, and that's who you need. And then we can do that. I'll be happy to reach out for you. And but getting it through the policing, I think they should be, it's a social issue. It's a social issue, and you're not going to get it resolved through the policing. And unfortunately, sometimes it becomes an optics thing too. You know, you move them along and they're doing their job, but it's not happening. So outside that, I'm not sure what else to add. If anybody else wants to add a comment or from, I know Tamara, I think, has left us, and Sue, you're still here. You have such wide experience with issues like this and more. So welcome. Yeah, I welcome any other people to chime in here.
Hi, Tamara's still here. Can I have
Oh,
the street, please, so I can
Yes, it's
go
50.
back and see if a team could
did I summarize that well, Tamara?
She did a great job. Thank you. Can I have the street, please?
Yes, it's
I would
55th
definitely think a
Street.
team could go over there.
It's 55th Street between 6th and 7th. And it extends from 7th Avenue about a quarter of way down the block. It's the block with City Center, the theater. We're in we're a highly tourist area, and it's 55th between 6th and 7th, and it extends actually from one side of the subway station, the subway entrance there, and then there's a separate encampment, a single person encampment at the corner on the other side of the subway's entrance. So anything you can do, we would appreciate. John, I'm not a member of any group except I think by association on an email list. So I don't even know any of the people. I hope they're good people.
You can
But
join our group. You can
I'm
join.
happy to do what I can, but it's a situation where it certainly impacts our ability to sell our apartment. It affects our day-to-day living on this block in a very visceral and immediate way. And I think it's a danger to our community. And I really think that in some cases, if you're blocking the street at the level that they are, which is by blocking literally. One of the questions I would ask, John, to the group, if anyone has any information, it seems to me that much of the problem of encampments in New York comes from our scaffolding laws, that the scaffolds go up in order to check the buildings, and then they can stay up, as I understand it, virtually indefinitely with very minor fines, which creates I guess we'd call in the law a public nuisance, or an attractive nuisance. It's a place where people can go, and if there were fines imposed on building owners who do not take down their scaffolding, as the one on our street's been here for I think half a decade now, maybe more.
There's been a bills. By the way, Tamara is with CUCS. CUCS is organizes the mock team. Mock team is a culmination of several organizations, and they do a lot of great work. Just to let you know, the scaffolding, that's been an issue. I know there's some bills that set forth just trying to put some limits on it. I know there was two that was working before the pandemic. We were discussing those, and we were discussing on the style of scaffolding. Instead of the short ones, and lighting, you can get things done about the lighting pretty easily through your council. You can alert them to a scaffolding. What they can do is put up the scaffolding. They can let it set, and it's cheaper to let it set because I think you know this than to actually do the repair. So that's what the bills are about, trying to enforce the repairs to take place sooner, get it done, get the scaffolding up and down. I know they have the permits are every 6 months, but it's renewable. Between the scaffolding people who put it up and between the landlord. I don't know where the bill specifically right now. They kind of fell down. They took a backseat to all the problems we had when COVID, came about. But we can easily look that up and look up, see if maybe that's something. There's a lot of people are interested in moving that bill. A lot of people, you hear that from different areas of the city. So if you wanted to kind of coalesce with them and help push those bills, if they're not actually in law right now, that might be a real good action. But again, the scaffolding, the underlying issue is the housing. If you had people, that's a quality of life thing. If you had housing and health services, enough money put in those areas, and have actual housing, you can help. Housing First is a model that works. It works. I mean, you got Venice working well with hardly no homelessness. You got Missouri, I think it's Missouri in my they've resolved this issue. The Housing First is a model that works and must be implemented. But the problem is the real estate has huge control over the city, and they want everything. They want the NYCHA. They want to get involved in NYCHA, managing NYCHA. And that's supposed to be public housing. They've let public housing diminish the quality care of public housing, and in order for the real estate developers come in and solve the problem. But But the scaffolding is an issue all around for quality of life. But again, it's just a Band-Aid. Victoria, Tamara, anything else that you want to add or ask, or I'm probably speaking too much.
No, that's about it. I would definitely deliver the message to see if a team could canvas an area and provide any services and see where we can go moving forward as for housing and placement.
Great.
Right.
Thank you. Tamara, I sent you my email. If you send me
great.
yours,
Thank
I
you.
can send it. I can send you something as well.
And yeah, if you summarize, I think I can pull summaries enough from the emails, but if you want to summarize something too, I can send it out to all of our network nonprofits, and this will be in the recaps, and I can highlight it. And if you guys want to get together and have a meeting, it sounds like you guys are they're trying to take a tact with connecting with Keith Powers. I know Keith Powers. We can always involve him in our meetings too. But yeah, if you guys want to get together on this, I'll be happy to help.
Thank you for the opportunity to talk and at least vent a little bit. And thank you for the good work that this committee obviously does. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, so we're going to have to close up here. We're way over, always are, right? We'll leave the rest. Again, any topics that you want to suggest, feel free to forward them. We have a terrific meeting going on next month. We have Wendell Potter that will be speaking, and we're going to be doing a forum on health too with Wendell Potter. And if you don't know who he is, he's a very outspoken health critic, and he's been on all the news circuits and so forth. He's really have a intricate understanding of the healthcare system. We hope to have you back here next month and for the forum, and anything that you need, please feel free to reach out to me. And until then, thanks for being here. Any last words before we shut down here? Okay, well, thank you. Thank you again.
Thank you for letting me listen.
Yeah, thank you for being here.
Thank you. Everybody have a great day. Thanks, John.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.